Harry's Wife, Part 104.64. Princess Martha Louise. Is this Harry's wife, Mark II? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. You ought to have listened to my earlier analysis, Princess Martha Louise ensnared, as I talked about her status and her involvement with an individual who she's just got engaged to. Tudor Verret. You'll find it enlightening if you haven't already accessed it. And even though you may not have heard of either of the two individuals involved, I would urge you to listen to what I have to say about it. It is most instructive. Also, because it involves a member of royalty and, in a commoner, so to speak, the parallels involving Prince Harry and Harry's wife are quite distinct. And of course, I'm not the only one that has identified that that's the case. So if you haven't watched that video about Princess Martha Louise ensnared, then you should do so. You can enjoy the Norwegian national anthem at the beginning, which one commenter failed to recognise and thought it was just filler, demonstrating what a complete and utter epsilon semi-moron he is. Nevertheless, what do we have to learn about this in terms of is it Harry's wife, Mark II? Well, first of all, we take a stroll across to Geo News with an article by the enigmatically named Web Desk, as always, tells us Princess Martha Louise follows in footsteps of Harry's wife, Prince Harry? ? Norway's Princess Martha Louise on Tuesday relinquished her royal duties like Britain's Prince Harry and Harry's wife to focus on her alternative medicine business with her fiancé. The 51-year-old princess's relationship with Tudor Verret, a popular Hollywood spiritual guru, caused waves in Norway after the African-American sixth-generation shaman suggested in his book Spirit Hacking that cancer was the choice. He also sells a $222 medallion on his website, dubbed a Spirit Optimizer, which he claims helped him overcome COVID-19. A poll in September found 17% of Norwegians now have a lower opinion of the generally popular royal family, nearly all citing the princess and the shaman as the reason. In a video posted to Instagram on Tuesday, the princess said she was stepping down in order to bring calm to the royal house, not, of course, something that Prince Harry and Harry's wife did, so there's a distinction there. Of course, the similarity is of an entitled outsider coming along and leveraging the royal house for their own purposes and then bleating racism, when their behaviours are called out. Once again, it demonstrates also how a difficult outsider, or I suppose if we're using alternatives, it would be bitch, wouldn't it? If you're referring to a woman who's difficult, that their presence affects the popularity of an organisation as a consequence of the way that they behave. So similarly, the royal family found that their popularity was being affected by the presence of Harry's wife and her behaviour. That similarly, the Norwegian royal family found that their popularity had dipped somewhat as a consequence of the relationship between the princess and the shaman and their behaviours. The palace said the princess was relinquishing the role as royal patron and will not be representing the royal house at the present time. However, in accordance with King's wishes, the princess will keep her title. King Harold, speaking to the press later with Queen Sonia by his side, said he was sorry the princess would no longer represent the royal family. She's very good at it. Royal expert Richard Eden, for it is he, shared the message of Princess on his Twitter handle, saying, "Sounds like a hashtag Prince Harry and hashtag Harry's wife situation." Noting, of course, the similarities in that regard. So that was picked up on as the similarities by Geo News and Richard Eden. But we now stroll across to The Times and an article by Oliver Moody. Norwegian princess gives up royal duties for shaman. Princess Martha Louise of Norway has announced that she will no longer represent the royal family after widespread criticism of her fiancé, an American self-styled natural healer who has claimed to be a reincarnated pharaoh, delusion, and a hybrid reptilian capable of curing cancer with his mind. Delusion, magical thinking, let's just call it batshit crazy. The princess, the eldest child of King Harold V and fourth in line to the Norwegian throne, will retain her title, but will stop carrying out official duties, ostensibly to create peace around the royal household. She demonstrating there, of course, emotional empathy for the royal household to try and ease matters. What a forthright Oprah Winfrey interview, and the Woking branch of Pizza Express have been to the British monarchy, Durek Verrett's supposed magic powers have been to its Norwegian counterpart. The Californian shaman is a friend of Gwyneth Paltrow, enough said there, the Oscar-winning American actress and businesswoman, and charges almost £1,300 for spiritualist therapy sessions. Strikes me as quite simply ripping people off. He met Princess Marta, 51, in 2016 through a mutual friend, the energy healer, Milana Snow. The couple, both divorcees, announced their engagement in June. The princess has been criticised in the press for her forays into the paranormal, including her claims that she was a clairvoyant who could commune with animals and angels. The press dismissed Verrett, 47, as a fraud, and one of the country's largest publishing houses dropped his 2019 book Spirit Hacking, which suggests children are to blame when they get cancer. Blame shifting, absence of emotional empathy, delusion. It then quotes King Harold again. But what are the observations below the line here? Do other people see the parallels here between what's happened in Norway and that involving Prince Harry and Harry's wife? Dante, Dios mio, and we thought we had it bad with Ginge and Whinge. Candlelight, friend of Gwyneth Paltrow, enough said. Fountainhead, most workdays I feel like I'm the reincarnation of one of the poor saps who built the pyramids. Peter Smith, reptilian as in snake. Stephen Andrews, her private life is her private life and no one's business, though she must be mad. Donald Herbert, I thought the headline ought to read Sham Man, but who am I to judge? Very Old Sherlock, an American self-styled natural healer who has claimed to be a reincarnated pharaoh and a hybrid reptilian capable of curing cancer with his mind. Lucky dip winner. Robin Knightley, it turns my stomach. Maybellino, I'm sure the relationship will work, don't you? Steelman, this will all end in tears. Has she lost her marbles? He has, for sure. Adam Black, at least they've managed to sort it out amongst themselves. Meanwhile, we have that literary genius Spare and Mrs. Spare to contend with. Ealing Man should have seen it coming. Eggs on toast. She certainly looks like she has been totally swept off her feet by the shaman. The question is, will it be happily ever after, or will it end in tears? Seaview, yet another shocking indictment of the lack of proper mental health provision in California. We must worry for Harry's future stability. Jeff Knight, we can look out for them on one of Harry's wife's podcasts. Ooh, don't be giving her any ideas. So people can see the similarities there between Harry's wife and this situation. What about the Telegraph? What do they have to say in an article by Nick Squires? Well, it talks about a Norwegian princess has renounced her royal duties, etc., giving the background to it and explaining what has gone on. It also explains several charities had already dropped the princess as a patron because of her fiancé's activities, which is, of course, a collateral consequence of his unpleasant behaviours. She lost her honorific Her Royal Highness title in 2002 when she chose to work as a clairvoyant. Mr. Durek's commercial activities revolve around selling a variety of New Age products, including his spirit optimizers, green, turquoise and pink medallions that cost £193 each. The medallions purportedly boast signature blends of earth energies that tap into both the spiritual and physical world. He has also recommended exercises to cleanse imprints from women's vaginas left by previous sexual partners. Delusion. He claims that among his many followers is Gwyneth Paltrow, the actress whose health and well-being website Goop sells a candle called This Smells Like My Vagina. But his New Age beliefs have been given short shrift by the no-nonsense Norwegians. Dagfinn Nordbo, a columnist, described him as an imposter, a charlatan and a quack. Trond Noran Isaacson, a historian, said, the royal family is meant to be a unifying force. The problem is that Martha Louise and Durek Verrett are exactly the opposite, controversial and polarizing with suspicions of charlatanism. Wonder who else you could apply to that. Most Norwegians despise the fact that you can make money off of what they consider to be nonsense that comes with a stamp of approval from a princess. Mr. Verrett will not have a title or represent Norway's royal house when he and Martha Louise marry, according to the palace. A poll in 2017 by the Norwegian broadcaster NRK found that 81% of Norwegians wanted to retain the monarchy, but that figure has recently dipped to 68%, according to a poll conducted by the Dagbladet newspaper. Like Harry's wife during her troubled time living in Britain, Mr. Verrett claims he is a victim of racism. White people write all this hate and death threats to us, and all this stuff for being together because they don't want to see a black man in the royal family. Again, demonstrating the short-sightedness and lack of insight of the narcissist. Just like Harry's wife, he fails to understand and realise that it's got nothing to do with the colour of his skin and the fact that he believes that he's a reptile, that he can cure cancer with his mind, and that children deserve cancer because they want it. What about below the line? Pandemic. Good to see that there are other weirdo royals out there. Maybe she can move next door to the princeling and his Diamante Duchess. Stefan Neerho. Step 1, whip out the race card. Step 2, no need. Ian Turner. 2 well-matched idiots. Bilbo Baggins. Not the full kroner. Graham Wilson Armour. It's always an American. I myself divorced from an American. No. W. Sewell. Oh, a Norwegian Gwyneth Paltrow. Simon Wells. Oh my goodness, does this remind you of anything? Matthew Connolly. I currently live in Norway. I know that we in the UK complain about Harry and Harry's wife a lot, but it could have been worse. Beville Conda. And I thought there was only one Harry. Bless my cotton socks, he has a sister. Ian Carmichael. The male Harry's wife. The poor girl has been sucked in like Harry. This will not end well. So plenty of people seeing that this is in fact a Harry's wife Mark II scenario. That an outsider, who is a narcissist, latches on to a susceptible member of the royal family. With Harry, as a consequence of low cognitive function and the fact that he has certain vulnerabilities and resentments by being spare and the loss of his mother, Harry's wife was readily able to exploit them. With Durek Verrett, he's able to exploit the fact that Princess Martha Louise, empathic as she is, has some rather out there beliefs, which he can utilise to say, I'm into all of these things too. Why don't you be a reincarnated pharaoh with me? It's interesting, isn't it, that these people, whenever they talk about who they are, that they're reincarnated, they never say, I used to be somebody who cleaned out Henry VIII's latrine, or that my job was to go around and collect piss in a pot to take to the tanner for him to use in the curing of the leather. Oh no, it's always, yes, I was a famous Roman general, or I was a pharaoh, or I happen to have been a famous person that invented something. It's never the bottom of the pyramid shitty jobs, is it? Which again shows the grandiosity of such individuals. But the parallels are stark. Two narcissists from the outside who are commoners, latching on to two royals who are susceptible to those manipulations, fall for it, and everybody else can see what a pair of rum'uns they are, and that it will not end well. It's very much the case that there are these relevant parallels. However, it does appear that the Norwegian royal family have managed to get the matter together a little more readily than the Brits had done so, in basically saying you were keeping your distance from now the royal family because basically we're a bit concerned about you, although you were good at your job, and we don't really think much of him because we see him as a grifter, although I'm sure, of course, King Harold would not say that publicly. It also appears to be the case that they've managed to resolve it without a greater level of fallout, but you'll also see the same victim mentality by both narcissists and, of course, the habitual playing of the race card. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.